Mogul Motivation, educating and empowering entrepreneurs 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media. And I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur who wants to aspire higher and accomplish their goals. This podcast is for anybody with a dream that wants to accomplish that dream and make things happen. This is episode 260. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. So whatever platform you're listening to it on right now, you can find it on those other platforms and more. The Tortoise and the Hare. One of those famed fables that we've heard of so many times. We read the story. We know the story. It's been used to imply many lessons. I want to use this as the foundation of today's episode because we talk about execution a lot in our daily lives as entrepreneurs, as dream chasers, but we often get execution wrong. We think execution means you have to go quick, fast, and in a hurry, and that's not always the case. And many times it's the worst case scenario to do it. You look at the hare, for example. He executed very quickly. He was miles and miles ahead of the tortoise, but in his arrogance, he sat down and took a nap, only to wake up and find out that the tortoise beat him. So therefore, can you really call that execution? Because the purpose of the race was to win, correct? He was executing, he was winning, he was in the lead, but he still lost. So in effect, he really didn't execute anything. He did all of that for nothing. And that's how some of us are as entrepreneurs and dream chasers. We are going nowhere very fast. It seems like we're doing a lot of execution on the surface level, but at the end of the day, we're not reaching our goals. We're not getting there because we're focused on being sexy. We're focused on being fancy, on being arrogant. We're focused on likes. We're focused on shares. We're focused on validation. And those are the wrong things we need to focus on. We just need to focus on executing and getting to that finish line, accomplishing that goal, reaching our dreams. That's what the tortoise did. The tortoise was slow, but he knew he was slow. He knew he couldn't do things fast like the hare. But you know what the tortoise did do? He continued to put one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, constantly, until he crossed that finish line. That's execution. That's real execution. So don't worry about instant gratification. Don't worry about instant validation. Don't worry about social media. Don't worry about the next person who just made major moves and you feel like you're still stuck in the mud. Continue to put one foot in front of the other. Continue to wake up every day and handle your task, whether it's trying to get your credit together, whether it's trying to lose weight, whether it's trying to buy a house. You know what your goals are and you know what you have to do to reach those goals. So put one foot in front of the other and continue to execute. Lupita Nyong'o, she gave a very powerful statement in tribute of her co-star Chadwick Boseman's passing a couple weeks ago. And out that entire statement, the one line that struck me was, she said, take your time, but don't waste your time. So we think because Chadwick gave us blockbuster movies, and despite the fact he was fighting cancer, that he was, doing things, just relentlessly and, just being a warrior and, not slacking. And that's not the case. She said that he was intentional with everything he did. We don't know what went on behind the scenes. We don't know what he was struggling with. We don't know what his mentality was. But he still took his time with everything he did, and he still gave us blockbuster movies. He still accomplished all of those things battling cancer. So if you have to rest, rest. If you have to take a mental break, take a mental break. Just don't waste your time. Just don't disregard your goals. Don't disregard your dreams. Don't treat them as their second nature. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I believe it was last week. We talked about how don't treat your treasure as if it's trash. So even if you're writing a page a day, even if you're doing one simple thing a day that's tied to and connected to your bigger goals, that's okay. Take your time, because at the end of the day, you are still executing. You're still putting your plan into effect. Do not abandon your plan. Just because you rest for a day, just because you take a mental health day, a mental health week, doesn't mean you're abandoning your plan. You're recharging yourself. But the second you start to abandon it, the second you start to put it off and just forget about it, now you're not executing. Now you're just sitting around being like the hare. And it might not be out of arrogance. It might be out of lack of confidence. But I'm telling you right now, don't lose confidence in yourself. You have enough to do what you need to do. The higher power, whatever you believe in, has provided you with enough to do what you need to do. So continue to execute. Continue to put one foot in front of the other, no matter how slow it may seem. You know, one thing that's so beautiful to me is despite this pandemic, despite 2020 being such a hellacious year, so many people are buying homes. So many people are getting their PhDs. So many people are still accomplishing great things despite the world being in hell. And if you haven't accomplished nothing right now, I'm not saying that to discourage you. I'm telling you that so you can know it can be done. So whatever goal you have for your business or for your personal life, continue to put one foot in front of the other. Continue to execute. Right now on this day, do something that's going to move you closer to that finish line. Don't worry about nothing else. Don't worry about validation. Don't worry about likes. Just worry about your goals, because time is going to pass regardless. Whether you are being productive or not, time is going to pass regardless. That's why Lapita said, take your time, just don't waste your time. It's better that time pass while you're executing and pulling yourself closer and closer to the finish line as opposed to staying in the same spot. 5 years from now, you could be in your dream home. 5 years from now, you can be better financially. Hell, a year from now, you can have all of those things and more. Just continue to execute. So that's my message this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very short, very brief. Let's continue to imagine reality. Let's continue to work and continue to execute whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Whatever it is something you can do today and tomorrow that's going to bring you closer. It's something you can do and you know what it is. Don't be in denial. If you're going to be honest with anybody, be honest with yourself. You know what it is. So get off the couch, get out the bed, say a prayer, give a word of thanksgiving, and get to it. That doesn't mean you got to be fast. It doesn't mean you got to do everything and accomplish it by next month. Just get to it. Because a month from now, you're going to be closer. And then a month from then, you're going to be closer. And eventually, you're going to cross that finish line and you're going to thank yourself for making that decision to execute and continue to execute. Do it for your future self. So if this podcast has benefited you in any way, shape, or form, I ask for two things as always. Number one, please leave a 5-star review. And number two, pass it on to a friend who may benefit from it as well. Have a great day, everyone. I'll talk to you next week.